I think the last 12 months was really a focus how we could, make the series and the Speedway, a better place. And I think it was said earlier that, we didn't really focus on, the commercial benefits from a revenue perspective, but, my feeling was how do we make, the guest experience better? I mean, I think that's at the very top of the mountain for me. I want people to come here to see that we really care about them, their experience. I was thrilled to see the number of young people with their mothers and fathers here, last weekend. You just don't see that at a lot of other races. So the focus, let's get the track. It needed work on the outside. It still does. We invested $1 million in the golf course, which isn't even the track, but we think this is also a product we can bring sponsors here. We're working on taking our NASCAR cars that we won't be able to run next year. We want to have a dozen of those that are in ride cars, so we can have them here. And we're going to, in fact, I looked at one day before yesterday down at the shop in Mooresville. We can even take the nose and the tail off, so if we want to have a Toyota event, we can have a dozen Toyotas, or we can have a dozen Fords, or a dozen Chevys. So these are things that we're trying to look at, so we have these tools that we can use. So it's beyond just how fast are we going to go here around the track. I think the other area that we have to focus on was our key sponsor. And I'm not sure that we've really seen the publicity that I would have expected to think that here we are in this type of an environment, to be able to get NTT, to re-up, on a long-term contract with us, which is huge for us. I mean, this is really the bedrock of the IndyCar sponsorship, and I take my hat off to Jay and the guys to get in the door, and we've worked hard with them. Our team has here, and also at Penske Entertainment to pull that together. And we've added a number of sponsors, within the series, and also with the Speedway. Getting date equity is really important. Having these dates taken away from us has hurt us, because you're planning on running, you don't run, then you try to run a doubleheader. That's kind of a bandage on a bad sore. And I think that the fact we're going to Nashville, is a new track, which will be terrific. Lots of excitement. But if you looked at what we did, I wanted to be sure that we had a training session, a test session. So we were here for 2 days, and I've never seen 32 cars here at one time prior to the 500. So this gave our drivers a chance and teams a chance to be here and run. And then we went to Texas, and we ran a doubleheader there for one reason, because they have a lot of these newer drivers not just feel it running around the track for a lap, but be able to experience, a real race. So, and I think that's why you see how close it is, because people now know the cars. The drivers are more skilled in driving on a high-speed track. So, I think that was another area that we wanted to focus on. From an overall standpoint, I think the fact that we had this attendance here last weekend, was as good as it's been since 2016. When you think about the fans, and I think the fact that we sold out. I mean, it was we got more people still want to buy tickets, but we can't. We've got to live within the guidelines. And quite honestly, 3 weeks ago we hadn't gotten the green light to have anybody. And through working, Mark Miles working with the mayor. This is the mayor of Indianapolis. That's the responsibility of that is Mayor Hogsett. So we put together the 135,000. And quite honestly, just to put it in perspective, we gave credits for next year for over 60,000. So just put that into perspective. That means we had 200,000 people that were ready to come. I mean, so the 135 that are here, and I got another 60+ thousand that they're going to come next year. So it just shows you the strength that this place has. It's something that I never realized at all. The commitment that people want to have here. So we're going to continue to fine tune it. I'm I would do the same transaction again. I mean, I just see the benefits on a longer term basis. And each year we look back and say, how did we get all the work done we got last year? Well, we got it done, and we still have more to do. And I was up, yesterday walking up in the grandstands with our people that's looking at areas, not so much for this weekend, but for the future areas that we need to start looking at. So, I really I want to run this business by anticipation, not by exception. And I think that's kind of what people have done in the past. Where's the problem is fix it. What we need to do is we need to anticipate, and that's what will be my goal, going forward here over the next several months. Coming up, I think NASCAR partnered with us. I mean, I'm sure that they had a long discussion. Do we want to run with Indy cars on the same weekend? And I think we got to do some of that, just like their road racing. It's going to be exciting to come here and see all three disciplines: Xfinity, the Cup cars, and then also the Indy cars on the road course on the same weekend. We're not talking about speed differential. We'll bring different fan bases together, and hopefully both sides generate more interest as we go forward. So those are the things we've been able to put together with a number of the OEMs where they want to use the track, for their dealer work, some demonstrations, some shows to show off their new vehicles. So these are things, rather than just rent the track for $25,000, we're not interested in that. We want to build partnerships with people. It's special, when you come here. It's special, and I think that to me is key, and we're seeing that already. People putting their hands up and wanting to be part of it.
Once you landed on 135,